you are a direct reflection about the people that you are spending time with. If you're the smartest person in the wrong room, in the room, you're absolutely in the wrong room. If you can walk around and teach the class and what you're doing, you're in the wrong room.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business, get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. My favourite part of the evening, where I can kick back, relax, grab a gin and tonic. No, I don't really do that. I'll grab a glass of water and we will listen to how to become visible in 2022 and the importance of visibility in 2022. So we have Jemimah Ashleigh with us tonight, all the way from Bali, which is pretty awesome. She tells me she's working over there, and what an awesome place it is to work as well too. So Jemimah is a visibility expert, and she really helps people with their PR and with things like getting onto podcasts and webinars and becoming famous in their own little pond, or it might be a big pond as well. So just a wee bit of background about Jemimah. She is the founder of the Visibility Lab. She has been named as in the top 10 female entrepreneurs in Australia and the top 20 industry disruptor of 2021. She is an international keynote speaker. She's a best-selling author, and she has a reach, can you believe this, a reach of 7 million through social media and podcasting. So that there is a pretty impressive number. And she's a board member of the Hope Project. So a bit of background there. She is an entrepreneur and she's been told, she'll probably tell you this, that at least 6 men have referred to her as being too much. So if she's doing that, she's obviously doing the right thing. She's had a decade in law enforcement. She's got multiple 6-figure businesses, and has, as I said, been named one of Australia's top entrepreneurs. But despite all that, she still found that she was fighting for a place at the business table. And it seemed like everything she'd done was not good enough. So she was a 30-year-old woman, was talked down to. People kept telling her that she was lucky for all the hard work that she had to put in. And she was often dismissed because of her gender and denied a place at the table in business. So being someone that really sort of took the bulls by the horn, she decided to change the game. And as she said, she went and built her own damn table. So, and she really sort of shifted to focus to working with game-changing women entrepreneurs and men that support them to help them to be seen and heard. And hence that's, the Visibility Lab. So she's here tonight to talk to us about why visibility is so critical and so important in 2022. So let's put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Jemimah Ashleigh.
Thank you. That makes me tired when I hear my own bio. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. And it's always, I just like your Facebook page. Thank you. So a couple of rules before we kick on. I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight about visibility. If I don't make sense, if you're like, Jemimah, what are you talking about? Tell me. I need to know, because I want to explain everything and leave you with key takeaways. Please bring yourself off mute and interrupt. Please throw comments and like questions that you have into the chat bar. I want to help you as much as possible in very real time. That is Nick, amazing. Thank you so much for that. I'm so pumped to be here. I am in Bali. I have, ladies, I think you'll understand this probably more than some of the guys. I straightened my hair an hour ago and this is where we are. So, I'm really in Bali and I'm in aircon, so I don't know what's happening, but this is just where we are right now. All right, I'm going to just share my screen and fingers crossed that works. Can everyone just give me a thumbs up that they can see what I'm doing right now? Love that. I'm having a similar situation. I'm in Bali. We love island life. I will say that it has been temperamental at best for maintaining of internet. So we're going to pray to the internet God this is happening. all of the stuff that Nick has just said about me is completely true. And I am so gung-ho about visibility. And I'm going to explain to you guys today a little bit why, and really give you some tangible takeaways. I find that so many, and this is one of the conversations I had with Nick early on, and one of the things that really drew me to being part of this class tonight, is that so many places are like, oh, we're going to tell you a bit about what we do and not actually give you the solutions. I'm not about that. Let's give you guys some actual tools today that you can use. Does that sound good? Because I want to make sure you guys leave with some really good tactile stuff. So Nick's done a very nice little promo about me and who I am, but I'll just get like a few things to cap off on this. I grew up in a primary school town that had, the primary school had 9 children. I wish that was a joke. We had half the class doing on like grade 3 to grade 6. The other class was prepped 2. So I grew up in a farming community where I should have been nobody in the whole scheme of things. My parents were all in law enforcement. I grew up to go and do that. But my story and the real really big key takeaway here, you know, and we hear so many people say this, and I mean this wholeheartedly, if I can, you can. If I've done it, it's absolutely not, it's not impossible for people. So when those awards and stuff are spoken about, I'm going to show you how to do that for yourself, because that's not, I don't want to gatekeep information, but more importantly, if I've done it, you can. And I grew up in this town that, you know, it's a tiny little town called Monroe, Victoria. If you have a look at it on Google Maps, it doesn't even have a township, no shop, no pub, no nothing. It was just a little farming community. Nick was right. I worked in law enforcement for about 13 years in total. And I accidentally started a small jewelry business in 2015, which would grow to 6 figures very quickly. I didn't realize that was unusual. And suddenly I was like, I think I figured out this business thing. I started a podcast series called The Business Experiment, which would go on to have 7.2 million downloads at last check. Evergreen content, no longer running, but still around. You can go and listen to it. And I built a brand way before I knew even how to do that. So I had to go and reverse engineer. I had to learn what I would have done better and what I would have done well to start with, and to understand what this visibility thing was. What happened was I went from a job where I wasn't allowed to have my photo taken. No one was allowed to really know my name. I worked in intelligence. This wasn't something, and like as soon as I started publicly talking about it, the AFP went, you can't work here anymore. And I was like, that's fair, right? That's pretty fair. If I'm doing this job and having a profile, you can't do both. I had to make a choice, and I absolutely made the right one. I built a brand very quickly, and I did it wrong. And what I'm trying to do now is teach people how to do it very intentionally, but also how to do it quickly at the same time. These people that talk about being an overnight success, it takes up to 10 years to do that. I'm trying to give you guys some shortcuts to make it in 5, if we can do that properly. So this is who I am now and what I've done. I've been featured in over 350 different media outlets. I've spoken across stages across the world. I have spoken with Valerie Jarrett, Barack Obama's senior advisor, Ida Buttrose. I sold 250,000 copies of my book, which you can win later, in less than 24 hours. I'm signed with a bunch of speakers agencies. That stuff, it's all there. And those are a couple of the places below that I have been featured in the media. Like I said, if I can do it myself without any PR training, I can teach people how to do it. I've now done a lot of PR training, but here we are. All right, do you guys want to learn how to do this in step-by-step order? Let's go. All right, great, Jemimah, why are you telling this? Industry at the moment, how many guys of you, and just like a quick show of hands, because I'm looking at the screen here, how many of you guys have met a coach that's been coaching for like less than 3 months or 6 months? Like you've met someone that you're like, are you joking? How are you a coach here? Or has a job that you're like, I don't even know what that is. Or how many of you guys know a mortgage broker? Everyone, right? We all do. This is the problem. If it's such a cluttered environment now where every single person can become a business owner so quickly and an entrepreneur, we teach you how to cut through the rubbish, how to get people to call you, and how to position yourself as the expert in that. In whatever industry you're in, you can be the go-to person on that. It is about repetition and about continually doing the same thing. This is what we teach every single day. And I'm going to walk you through the 5 things that we teach every day and all we teach and show you how to do it right now. All right, the Visibility Lab, we do 5 things and that's it. 1, we help people build a clear personal brand. You are different to your business, and we are going to dig into this, I promise you. Number 2, you're going to get around high-level personal networks. All of you guys are in this room right now. You're in the right room. There's this old saying that you guys would have heard, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, famously quoted by Jim Rohn, who's an incredible man. But he talks about that you are a direct reflection about the people that you are spending time with. If you're the smartest person in the wrong room, in the room, you're absolutely in the wrong room. If you can walk around and teach the class and what you're doing, you're in the wrong room. Find a different room, go learn from other people. Number 3, media and PR pitches. You have to get on podcasts, you have to be in television, you have to get print media. The big reason for that, obviously, simply being you have to have third-party validation. It's exactly the same reason that we want to have testimonials. Number 4, social media. It amazes me how many people every single day don't do social media well, and they don't understand how to use it and how to utilize it properly. And finally, we're going to talk about award applications and why awards are important. One of the key things, key findings that they found, they did a review of the wines that were being bought from BWS and from other wine shops. And 90% of purchases were done because if you weren't going in for a specific wine of a specific type and from a specific country or a region, you were picked because of the awards on the bottle. People are reading award-winning entrepreneur. They're looking for logos, and it is much easier than you think to win awards. All right, let's dive in. Remember, if you've got questions, please bring yourself off mute. I want to answer as much as I can today and give you guys as much value as I can. Let's talk about personal brand. And I always use myself here as the example because it's only fair. I hate using other people's examples. When we talk about personal brand, every single person goes, I have a business brand. That's enough. It's not. I'm really sorry, but we stopped buying from businesses in about 2018. We started really leaning towards buying from the person. It's why we saw a shift over the pandemic that was kind of fluked in about 2019 and really cemented in 2020, 2021 and into 2022. During the Christmas period of those years, we saw less money going to places like Kmart, Target, and way more money going to Etsy, to online markets, to like going to actual markets in your local area and buying product. We moved away from giving money to CEOs to buy their 5th and 6th property and to little family run businesses. They thought it was a fluke in 2018, 2019 that happened. It has now been cemented because of the pandemic, because we saw how much people struggled. So if you're thinking right now, you're like, Jemimah, I have a business brand. You also need to have a personal brand alongside that. If you don't have that, it's not enough. Jemimah Ashleigh is the person presenting tonight, not the Visibility Lab. It is a lot easier for Nick to message Jemimah Ashleigh and say, hey, would you like to come and talk about visibility? Yeah. If you want to get known and you want to get seen, you have to have your own personal brand. Most people think immediately it's things like that you need to have a logo and that you need to have a font. Everything that you're looking at on this literal slide right now is branded, and you will have seen branding the whole way through. And I'm going to use myself as the example. In here, you have a logo of the Visibility Lab on the right-hand side down the corner. I'm teaching you what my brand is. Through this whole thing, I'm teaching what the brand is. That person in the photo looks awfully like me. You catch me on a good day, sure, and maybe less humidity in the barley hair, but I look the same. The clothing, for those who have met me, Paul, you've met me a bunch of times. I'm going to look like that in person. My clothing is going to absolutely be the same. And guess who's turning up on social media? Exactly that same person. The things that I'm passionate about, I'm going to talk about on social media, because one of the strongest things that we have here is a know, a like, and a trust. And if you don't have that in business, you don't have anything. I can know you and I can like you, but if I don't trust you, I'm not giving you money. Or I can know you and I could trust what you're saying, but if I don't like you, I'm not going to give you money. This is important, and it is something you have to do on repeat. The next thing is hex codes and color branding. We've actually, like, a lot of people don't realize this. You are trained every single day. I'm going to show you something just here. Can anyone tell me what this is? Bring someone off mute. Just tell me what this is.
Bottle of Coke.
Great. Why do you know that?
Because of that classic red and white label.
100%. They taught us that if you try to, it is bottle Coke, correct? Here the logo. If you try to use that exact red color, you will get sued. They own that hex code. The hex code is a number that is given to specific colors. It just means that if I print something in purple and you print something in purple, we have the same color purple later. We tell how much yellow, how much white, how much blue, and how much red goes into a color. And that's how we get different shades. So when you're building a personal brand, sorry, thank you, Paul. These hex code colors, we are getting people familiar with that stuff. We're getting people very familiar with who we are. A few years ago, I used a very, very dark purple for my personal brand for a very long time. And someone in Parliament ran with the same. They had a different name. In fact, it was a male. But I had multiple people calling me to congratulate me for running for Parliament because I'd used that purple so much. And the person used exactly the same color that they thought I was running. That's how good this stuff is and from a psychology level. Your personal brand also is down to your language. Are you funny? Are you not? Do you deliver dry, funny humor? Keep that in your personal brand. That is who you are. It's part of your identity. It's also how you're turning up every single day. If you're a speaker, anyone here that does videos on a regular basis? Yeah, great. Love that. Thank you. You can buy songs to put onto your videos. If you're making TikToks, if you're doing Instagram, you can go and find consistency in those songs, but also you can actually buy a song. I bought a song that I put through all my speakers stuff. When I walk out on stage, there's a video that plays and it's the introduction, so I don't have to sit there and tell anyone who I am. But that song, I've heard it on the radio and people have rang me to say they've heard that song on the radio. Personal brand is reminding someone every single second of every single day who you are, what you stand for, and what you're about. You cannot rely on your business brand. I can also say this because I've sold some businesses in my day. If I hold everything that I am onto that business, and so Jane, if you go and sell Mrs. Red's art room at some point and that becomes someone else's business, you lose your entire identity. You have to be standing alone. It's like I said, very easy to hire Jemimah Ashleigh to do something, very hard to hire the visibility lab to talk. You have to have both. The big key thing that we get wrong is we create this kind of, and it is almost a third-party entity of who we are because it's designed. The color, the font, the clothing that I wear, I will always, for the people who have met me in person or seen videos or content of mine, 100% of the time I'm wearing denim. It's because I'm building that know, like, and trust. You're going to get that person that's in the photos in the room because it's what I would naturally wear. Where people get this wrong is they put out one persona and that's not in alignment with who they are and what they're trying to build. So the question that we always ask, and it becomes a big part of the things that we speak about, is simply the what, who, and where. This is fundamentally the stuff. This is fun. I'm just saying the question, give us a second. This is the fundamental stuff that if we get this right, this is the foundation to all PR and all visibility. If you can answer these questions, you will absolutely change the way your business is perceived. The first thing that I want you guys to be able to answer is this: what problem do you solve? Most people will say things like, I have a business that does like visibility stuff, we do training. No, I get people interviews, I get them in front of their ideal client and I help them make more money. You aren't just taking photos. You're helping people get visible, curate a brand, build lasting memories. You aren't necessarily, I heard someone say earlier that they do animal medium work. It's having a conversation with your pet in real time. Do you want to know if they're in pain? Do you want to know if they're okay? The problem is you're breaking that communication barrier down. What problem do you solve? The next part is who. Who do you solve that problem for? And if your answer here is everyone, we need to have a talk. Everyone can't be our ideal client. What problem do you solve? Who do you solve that problem for? When we know who our ideal client is, who the people that we need to be speaking to, it makes it a lot easier for us to build a business that is sustainable and to help you get visible. Because the next question is, that ideal client, where are they spending time and where are they already spending money? I'm going to use a real life PR example. I am a 37-year-old female who speaks predominantly to women. We have about 80% female and 20% male. We deal with entrepreneurs who are all about $100,000, who are exceptional at what they do. They are trying to change the world. They've got big plans, big things that they want to do. I had an inquiry that came in the other day that asked me to go and speak to a magazine that is focused at men, that deals with industrial style motorcycle stuff. They want me to do an interview for them. Is that, and it only sells to mechanics, their reach is about 20,000. Is that, and they want me to talk about visibility. I was like, really? Because in this scenario, the problem that I solve, which is visibility, mechanics don't really need visibility. They're very locale based. They have a shop front, and generally, unless they're trying to change the industry, they can't really market outside of their immediate area. Who do they solve that problem for? Male mechanics who, as historically, maybe don't love females telling them always what to do. Is that person my ideal client? No. There is no point in me trying to pitch that magazine to be like, to be featured in there. The same thing if I said to someone here that, so I'm seeing Michael, look like you do professional media. Is that right? Like in a media kind of company. It would be very, very hard for me to be like, would you like to come and be featured in a pet magazine? Whereas if I said to Annie, would you like to come and be featured in a pet magazine? Her ideal client, she solves the problem. It's the right place, right time, because we have a much easier way of communicating with them. What tends to happen with PR pitches is we have people trying to pitch to everything, to every podcast. If you can answer what problem you solve, who you solve that problem for, and then tell people on repeat, how much difference can that make to your business? And especially from a visibility point of view. If you get clear on your messaging, the visibility comes next. Any questions about that? Because I know that was rather big. Jenny asked me a question. I'll answer my own question. What happens if you intend to sell, but you're building a brand based on your own brand? Jenny, I have to hear a little bit more information about that. Let's come back to that at the end. And maybe we'll do some like real life kind of work on that and some examples on that. Amber, please ask your question. Bring yourself off mute.
Hey. Hi. How are you going? I wanted to know, with your personal brand and your business brand, what I'm predominantly Facebook, and I'm trying very hard to be Instagram. Oh my God, it's trying so hard. Hence why I'm here. So, but my Instagram kind of business page, I try very hard not to necessarily make it, I don't know how to make it personal without it not being, I don't know, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, how do I mix the two together but don't overdo it?
Great. We have a formula coming. I'm actually going to talk about it. There's an actual formula that has been proven. So usually at this point I do this and I'd be like, see this degree here? It's a psychology degree. Love psychology. Love how we buy stuff. Love how time changes. Love how people do things. My job for a long time was in behavioral psychology for law enforcement in an intelligence capacity. Sounds cool, right? Would love to write a book one day. But I love how people do this, because what we see people do all the time with like social media, like buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Here's 400 photos of my children. How do we find a happy medium? So this is actually a tool that we give people, and I'll go through in a second. Speaking of social media, great question. And please, if you have questions, bring yourself with me, because I would love to tell you guys. And it might be coming up, fingers crossed. Hopefully I've preempted most of the questions. Social media and expert posting. Let's start here. In social media, hopefully you guys all have an understanding of how that works. This is not the day for me to explain Instagram to you, but you need to be posting every single day on every single platform. I know it's a lot. It seems like a lot. I get it. And that's why we have a formula for it. I promise you, we even have whole spreadsheets you can get from us. But if you're just starting out, at a minimum, all of you have to be on Facebook. And then you need to have another one, again, where your ideal client is spending time and where your ideal client is already spending money. And that includes attention economy. When I talk about time and money, where is your person staring at their phone? Where is that person physically spending time? I worked with a tutor for a while, and they were like, I just can't get traction. We know we're doing cool stuff. We know we're getting kids across VC and GSE, you know, above and beyond where most normal kids are ending up. We know how great we're doing. We just don't know how to talk to the people. 2 weeks later, I happened to have a chance encounter where I'm sitting at my niece's netball final. And if anyone has children and has had to sit through netball games, you guys deserve medals, my goodness. But I'm watching this kid like play netball, and I looked around and I was like, there are over 200 parents right now. Do you know what we did? We bought those, like we sponsored the courts. We just bought a couple of those metal signs. We like sponsored the courts and had them printed up. His books were so full. He was trying to talk to the kids. They weren't the decision makers. It was the parents. The ideal client was the parent. And those people were spending physical time sitting at those. He then went on to sponsor the football club. He went on to go and sponsor a bunch of other places where these kids and the parents were just sitting for hours on end. Like I said, you guys deserve medals. Anyone has children, I don't know how you do it. Well done, you. You need to know where they're spending time. If you have to be on Facebook. Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok are the main players at the moment. This changes regularly. And be careful of the demographics. You will have heard a lot of people talking about TikTok for children. The current age demographic is 32. Most of the users are sitting in their early 30s. And most of that is because of the pandemic. But they have now established accounts. They're watching, they're building stuff, and there's a lot of information on there. The other thing TikTok has done really well is split algorithms. So the content that I see and the content that Annie and the content that Nick might see will be wildly, wildly different in a good way. I spent a lot of time on Fox Talk, watching a lot of foxes. That was really interesting to me. I also watched Crow Talk with like how people learn to negotiate with crows. That was pretty fun, and they get you to give them presents. If anyone hasn't hit that yet, amazing. Keep going till you find it. The whole point of this is you have to be spending time and money, or you have to be spending your time and posting where your ideal clients are spending time and money. And the other thing is you have to talk to them every single day. And if you're not talking to them, and you're not communicating with your market every day, you're missing opportunities. It used to be, and you guys will have heard this, I'm sure, that it's like 6 touch points for someone to buy from you. Like it's more now, it's about 15. One of those touch points can be the know, like, and trust, and can be the social media post. All right, let's keep going again. Bring yourself off mute if you've got any questions. All right, media and PR, very quickly, 101 on these. 3 places that you can look at. Source Bottle is completely free, as is Harrow, which stands for Help a Reporter Out. Source Bottle is Australian. It is a...
What?
Hello?
Huh?
Hello? I can't say who's talking. Someone got a question? Someone's come off mute by accident? Love that. Okay, cool. Source Bottle. Source Bottle is an Australian-based media. Most journalists use it if they're looking for a very specific story. This will look like anything from, I saw one today about, have you ever worn an ankle brace? I saw one yesterday. It was like, are you a big Elvis fan? This is anything. Like, they are looking for anything. Harrow is more focused on American, Canadian, and occasionally European businesses that journalists use for that. So Help a Reporter Out, they send 3 emails a day. It's pretty extensive, and hundreds of different media opportunities, but a lot of them are absolute bullshit. Like, just skip over a lot of them. And podcast is a new one that's coming out as well, and they list podcasts. These are places you can go and register and have a look at what journalists are looking for right now. They're opportunities that will be dropped into your inbox every single day, and you can respond to any of the ones that are there and have direct access to reporters. Where this gets dicey, and it's something we always teach our people very quickly, is to create a list of 10 things that you want to be known for and only speak to those. If I go through these lists, I can respond to maybe a quarter of the hundreds that are sent out because I have an opinion on orange juice, which might be something that they talk about. I saw one the other day and it was like, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin? Personally, I have none on Bitcoin at all, but there are a lot of people here that would probably have some thoughts on NFTs and what's happening in the industry there. If it's not in your lane, and it might be interesting to you, Janie, you might be like, this is the greatest thing in the world. I love NFTs. But if it's not focused on your business, it's very easy to split your message. It's very hard, like very easy to kind of dial out into, I can talk about everything. You should be talking about what you want to be known for. What inevitably happens with a few of my clients is they'll ring me and be like, you know, this is kind of something I could talk about. I was like, is it on your list? And if it's not on there, don't do it. The third tip I'll give you about PR and media is, what are you willing to do? For some of you guys, you will be media pros. You will have done interviews. You will have had dozens of opportunities already. You'll have spoken on podcasts. You'll have run webinars such as this on a near weekly basis. For some of you, you'll have never done an interview before. You'll have no idea how to do a webinar. The first time you do it, your heart will be beating through your chest. You'll be worried about it. You have to decide the kinds of things that you're willing to do. The advice that I will give the new guys is 1 is greater than 0. If you get asked to do your mate's podcast who's only got 3 episodes, do it. It's great practice. I've been the first person to be interviewed in a podcast, and I've been the 100th. So it is really fun while you're learning in this process to go and get as much as you can and get as much exposure as you can to this. And most people always say, like, how do you start? You start. You ask one podcast, you put one source bottle in, you just have to start. It's very uncomfortable to start with. Number 4, you have to be not the only person applying. The biggest tip I can give you for this is to make sure that you're interesting in the response. Talk to them like they're a person. It's a journalist who is very time poor, who's trying to get responses very quickly. Solve the problem that they have. They have a problem too. And it's the same problem that you can solve. What problem do you solve? Go and have a look at Soul Spottle, and happy to give you guys feedback when we're doing that. All right. So, question that we were asked earlier about social media. Amber, maybe you'll be paying attention here. I think you'll love this. Okay, let's talk about social media and the kind of posts that you're going to be doing. This is formulaic in many ways of how to do it. The first thing that you have to do, you have to be posting, are expert posts. You have to tell people what you specialize in. And I want you to dumb this down. When you are good at what you do, it's very easy to skip to the middle part because you think the start is boring. You think it's really boring to explain to someone about why it's important that you communicate with your animals. Or maybe it's some telltale signs that your animal's trying to communicate with you. It's very easy to skip. Why is it important for you to have skincare? You assume everyone knows. Dumb it down to like 15, 16-year-old level. It's not patronizing. It's actually going to help your market understand. I work with a lot of people in real estate and finance, and one of the hardest things I get them to do is to take it from very high level where they're talking about using acronyms and they're talking about money. I'm like, dumb it down a little. Think of the barefoot investor as the example here. He wrote a book. Great guy, writes this book, The Barefoot Investor, where he talks about, buying coffee, like buy coffee pods instead of buying coffee out every day. And everyone's like, oh my God, this is game changing. It's not brand new information. It's being repackaged into tangible bite-sized pieces that we understand when you're not in this industry. You have to make the things that you are doing super approachable and make you super approachable. This is part of your brand. Your expertise is part of your brand. Don't make it out of reach from people. To talking too high a level, you're going to lose people very quickly. Second kinds of posts that you have to do, you have to build stuff into your CRM. You have to have posts out there and asking for people to reach back out to you. You have to put leads in there and you have to be able to retarget them. This is where you say things like, do you need some help with visibility right now? Reach out for a free 15-minute chat. We get 2 to 3 leads a week just from asking that question once or twice on social media. If you're, putting a lead magnet out there, you don't have a lead magnet, get one. They're an incredible tool and very easy because you're solving a problem for that person and that person is going downloading it, has that problem. Crazy, right? Business, personal. This is a question that Amber asked. It's a really hard one to answer. I follow this as basically a circle that I do an expert post, I do a CRM post, I do a business or a personal post, and I do a business personal. So I have like a business, I don't have 2 pages. Like I have a Jemimah Ashleigh, like media person page, but I have my personal Facebook, and I use that exclusively as the contact point for most of my clients. I don't break them up. I have done it previously. It's too much time and effort. And when we started to learn that people were kind of jamming with like, I want to know who you are, the know, like, and trust in building that. They got to know me. They liked me more. They didn't like the figurehead that was being put out. They want to know you. If I'm going to give you money, I've got to know you. I've got to like you. I've got to trust you, or to believe what you're saying. And I can do that and still look at a photo of your kid and be like, yeah, that TikTok dance is really annoying too. I agree with you. Ha ha. That stuff's funny. Like that stuff lands. If you're that person and you're like, this kid's doing my head in, and you're happy to put that stuff out, that lands with parents out there everywhere. That's going to bring your ideal client in. If you're going to be sharing stuff from your business, if you have stuff, if you have these things, if you have clients that you can use, 100% use them, because that stuff, the behind the scenes, makes it way more interesting. And also in here, use testimonial and case studies if you can. For some of you guys, you just won't be able to do that. But testimonials, they are the media like level of approval for other people. If someone else has said you're great, if the media is saying that you're on the project, oh my God, shut up and take my credit card details. That's where we get to with this stuff. Finally, media and third-party validation. If you've got media previously, if you have stuff, reshare it. There's nothing to stop you from resharing that stuff at any time or place. I share media, you know, every 12 months, something will come up and I'll share it. I put on Instagram that I was doing this tonight. I made a joke about it. Guys, look at my hair. It's hilarious. Of course, I'm going to make jokes about that because this is who I am. I'm naturally, you know, I naturally like to think I'm funny. Doesn't always land, but, you know, I'm going to be sharing this stuff because it's who authentically that I am. Like, I had to dry off out of the pool today. Here we are doing some work. That stuff's interesting. And if you're like listening to this and you're like, Jemimah, you can't be serious. Like, no one's going to give a shit. Trust me, they do. It is ridiculous. Also, some people at this point go to me very quickly, you know, no one ever engages with it. They're seeing it. And you're more likely to get likes on the rubbish stuff of the like, oops, I had a whole packet of Tim Tams today. Who else has had that problem? Than you are on those big award wins, on those big features. You are going to get applauses at very strange place and a lot of approval in other places. Pay attention to who's clapping and pay attention to who feels like they're competing with you when they're not actually saying they're competing. Just be mindful of that as you grow your profile. It shows a little bit more. So how I do this is in a bit of a wheel. And I post these about, I have a formula, we have a spreadsheet that we give our clients for this sort of stuff. And then I post specifically in the evening of stuff I want to share. And that's where like I have, so like today I'll post, you know, after this, I've got a few things to do around in Bali. Downtown, I'm going to go to the beach for a swim. I'll post something about that. But I'll post about work stuff in the day and this stuff. And, you know, then you'll have it behind the scenes. It isn't an exact science, but what it is a little fun trying to, you know, stop selling all the time, but like show your expertise, get your CRM building. All right, I'm more over time and I want to make sure I give you guys as much value. Let's talk about awards, not for too long, and give you guys some question and answer time. Awards are, I can't believe how many people don't apply for awards because it's like shooting fish in a barrel for so many reasons. There are 4 types of awards. Let's run into these. Firstly is the national awards. These are things like the Australian Small Business Champion. These are things like the Optus My Way Awards. These are the Telstra Business Awards. These are awards that are held on a national stage where you'll be competing with people from all over Australia. Second one is international awards. The most famous of this is the Stevies. There's also the International Business Awards. There are literally hundreds of these out there. The next one are the state and local. These are things like your local business chamber. These are the ones like the Victorian Business Awards or local business awards. BX Networking has, you know, they would be considered a national award, although bordering on state and local also, and maybe industry, and maybe international now that they've gone out to the US as well. So, have a look at what's happening in your local area. If you're in Melbourne, if you're in Canberra, if you're in Sydney, go and have a look at in the local areas. There's also things like 40 under 40, 50 under 50, Young Entrepreneur Awards. They all exist here too. Finally is industry awards. So this is things like if you're in the financial industry, the Women in Finance Awards have just opened. It opened yesterday. There are CPA awards. I was writing as well, dealing with finance awards, as you can tell, and the industry finance awards as well are open. So these are ones that there are PR awards. There are women's awards. These are industry focused or laser focused in one specific area. These are the types of awards that you can find. In Australia, does anyone want to throw a comment into the bar and tell me roughly how many awards do you think there are in Australia that open nationally every year? Or bring yourself off mute and give me an answer.
Lots.
Michael, correct. 10 points to you, my friend.
2,187.
487, was that your guess?
2,187, I think.
Oh, I love that. There's so many. Okay, we're going
I don't know.
700, love it. Last year, Australia recorded 824 awards that we were able to count. Who won? People that entered. It's very uncomplicated. Okay. All right, things you need to know about awards. Very quickly. This stat, national, okay, so there were some statistics. I'm just going to point back to the fake degree that's not there at the moment. I love statistics because I'm also a nerd. And I think it's a good way to tell what's happening. I read, and I don't know how true this is going to stand in 2022 because awards have taken a lot more traction. Last year, there was one national award that only had 31 applications each category. It's not very many, considering there were 10 finalists in each of them and 3 of them won. You had a 10% chance of coming home with an award. Number 2, it's a business audit. When was the last time you sat down and thought about every aspect of your business? What are you actually doing for your community? What are you actually doing for environmental stuff? Are you actually adding to the world? It's a little humbling. When you first start doing this, you're like, I've done nothing to help my community lately. I need to get onto that. Or I only donated $180 to charity this year. Or I actually didn't help my team very much. I've done no business development stuff here at all, and I've done nothing. It's a very nice business audit. When you first do it, it can feel a little jarring because you're like, holy shit, I need to have done more than this. It can be a little awkward to start with, but it's also a really good way to keep track of what you're up to. Another reason to awards is it's third-party validation very quickly. You've seen a lot of people coming out like, I'm a finalist for, I'm a winner for this. On the 2nd of September, I'm saying that with some hesitation because I'm not sure on the date. On the 2nd of September, I am going to the Australian Small Business Champion because I'm a finalist for Coach of the Year and Entrepreneur of the Year for 2022. Very excited about it. Put the logo out, got tons of feedback on it. I will then take a lot of photos while I'm sitting there looking happy. There will be over 100 media people in that room right then and there. I will sit at tables with other finalists and other winners and have a chat with them. These are rooms you have to be in. Remember we talked about the sum of 5 people earlier? These are rooms you have to be in if you're building your industry, especially if it's like an industry award and you're in media, or if you're, the other people we're sitting with also are in PR. You have to be in these rooms. They're very important to be in. I cannot stress this enough. Another thing I want to tell you, number 4, you can pay for awards and they can be given to you. Be very careful when you start applying for awards and are a finalist/winner. You will have randomly, you'll just get given awards. I'll be like, congratulations, Nick, you've just won this award. We're so happy. You want everything here at $780. Thanks. You're paying for an award. I've also been offered at the front cover of a magazine for $11,000. I've been offered for Woman of the Year for £5,500 pounds. I was like, it's like 15,000 Australian. I'm not doing that. I've also been given awards, very jarring. I find that very confusing that I didn't put in, someone just gave that to me. How can you possibly know if I haven't been audited and haven't been compared to other people? Finally, number 5, awards are a business. Be very mindful of this. The Australian Small Business Champion, finalist for, very excited most. I'm very grateful and I'm very proud to say that 100% of our clients that applied got through. But here's the thing. Every single person that has now had to pay $350 for a ticket will have to go to Sydney, will have to be at that awards, will give up their Friday and Saturday night. I'm giving up both because I'm going for my award and all my clients. I spent personally over $1,000 on tickets. There will be 1,000 people in both of those rooms. I'm 100% coming home with COVID. I'm aware of that. This is the situation you're in. You are applying for something else. It is a business. It will cost money. There's sometimes will be application fees. Osmumpreneur this year had an application fee for the first time. It was about $120. The week after I go to the Australian Small Business Champion, I'm going to the Women to Watch Awards in in Brisbane. Again, another ticket, another thing. This stuff adds up very quickly. I'm not trying to dishearten you from doing this. I just want you to be very clear that when you start down this little rabbit hole, it becomes a bit of an expensive, it's a marketing cost that you have to take into account of what you're doing. The psychology tells us, number 6, psychology, finalist versus winner, there is no difference. In fact, there seemed to be a little bit of lean towards you being a finalist because I thought you were going to be cheaper. The winners would add extra zeros, and that you actually might be like, maybe you bribe someone, maybe you paid for the award. A finalist is as good, if not arguably a little bit better. And the number 1 hack I'll give you for awards is do one application and do it well. There are only so many questions they can ask you in awards. How many times can I ask you, what does your business do and what problem does it solve? You're going to know the answers to that, write them down. The Australian Small Business Champion Award, I will keep repeating this because I want you guys to go and check the website because it's very important. It is the biggest national award. It's kind of the godfather of all awards when it comes into kind of PR area. They ask so many questions. No one else can ask you anything. If you do that application, have it sitting there ready to go. I also have, if you are looking at doing stuff in 2023, and maybe this year isn't your year, if you're looking at 2023, go and have a read of the questions, go and see what they're asking. You can see the questions you can make an account to see the questions, but more importantly, you can actually have a look at what questions and save some information. I have what I call a bit of a dumping ground on my desktop. If something's relevant, if I do a community fundraiser or I put something forward or I am on a podcast interview, I dump it into a folder. So later, I'm not going to forget these little things that I've done, and it's really going to add to the weight. All right. What happens if we get media and do it well? You end up with this. It's called a brag bar. It's actually not, I don't know what it's actually called, but it's what we call it, is a brag bar. And this is, I get to use this on the back of, this is an old screenshot from my old website or my media kit. And these are just some of the places I've been featured. If you have been featured anywhere, and I say this kind of jokingly, but seriously, in any capacity. So if you were once featured in Optus magazine because you won an Apple iPhone from them and your photo and a quote from you was in there, you could technically use that in your media kit. These are ones I've actually been featured in for business purposes. But this is what it can look like. And I did this in 3 years. So if you're like, Jemimah, oh my God, I did this in 3 years. And some of this was during a pandemic. This stuff of identifying what problem you solve again and doing stuff on repeat, doing the stuff on repeat and putting yourself onto Source Bottle and, applying for and putting yourself on media and having thought leadership and putting my personal brand out there really has changed the way that I do business completely. This has also been so interesting to me about how many people don't understand how easy this stuff is on repeat. We get this down to about 20 minutes a day per client, and I can guarantee you can do this in 20 minutes a day as well. I'm going to stop the share there and allow some time for Q&A. The thing is with the visibility is that a lot of people, and particularly in the PR area, they want to know very quickly, like, how long does this take? Unfortunately, there's no black or white answer for that. It comes down to very strongly about consistency of turning up, consistency of engaging with your audience, consistency of, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? One after another, and suddenly the floodgates open. This happens all the time. When people are always telling us all the time, it took, that person blew up overnight. No, they didn't. I promise you they didn't. There's a lot of stuff that goes into the background of that, and there's consistency on every single person's behalf here to make sure that you are consistently doing these things. All right, I'm going to stop talking, and this is where you guys can ask questions. If you've got comments, feedback, if you're like, I don't understand anything you just said, now's the time for that, I think, more than anything. Great feedback. Brilliant. Thank you, Amber. Love that from me. Love that. We'll be using it as a testimonial later, obviously.
I just want to say thank you. Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much. That just that picture of the wheel, you know, because I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but sometimes, I mean, I actually do schedule all my posts. So in another platform, and sometimes I sit there and I think, my God, this is just looks so boring. It's just like product. Oh, I better chuck in a movie. Oh, I better do a testimony. Like, and it was like, oh God, I don't know. Like, so that was great. Thank you. That's really cool.
Yeah. So this is the no, like, and trust stuff, right? Like, again, we're trying, like, and it can't be so one-dimensionally. Like, if you got that person on Facebook that just won't stop selling to you, like, stop it. I don't want to, or like, you know, particularly LinkedIn's really volatile with this, of that, hey, I saw this article and I thought of you and it's from my competitor, but maybe it's a product you would like to buy. I'm like, are you kidding me? We've never engaged. I don't know you. I don't like you. I don't trust you. Delete. 100%. This is the problem with that stuff. We have to build that relationship. I would also argue on LinkedIn that we're seeing way more personal posts and they're doing much better these days.
Jemimah,
Sorry. Yeah, please, Peter.
when you mentioned create a list of the 10 things you want to be known for and then only speak to them, can you say a bit more about that?
Yeah,
that
of course.
Good point.
Yeah. So Source Bottle send out 2 emails a day, and I'm talking sometimes up to 300 different media opportunities per day. There's constantly, we're on a 24-hour media cycle. There are always journalists that are looking for things. And like, I got my virtual assistant one week to count. We had over 1,200 media opportunities, right? So if you are fairly, if you haven't lived an interesting life, I really like art. I'm also a professional singer. I do a lot of improv. I love business. I have a varied life. I love cooking. I love psychology. Like, I could sit there and write 50 of these out per hour. Like, I could spend so much time going through. And if you are someone that's similar to me in that sense of like, I really like, you know, I'm really passionate about women in business. Because I just got talked down to so much, I was like, how do I make it easier for women? I will, if I have women in business as one of my things and I see anything women in business, I'm allowed to respond to that. But if I saw something that was like, hey, do you prefer acrylic paint or oil-based? Do I have an opinion on this? 100% acrylic, 100% of the time. And I can give you 10 reasons why, but it's not relevant to my personal brand or my business brand. Get very clear about what problem you solve, who you solve that problem for, and how to do it on repeat. Because if you're constantly going to be responding, you know what, I have some very strong thoughts on chicken, but it's not relevant to your business, don't respond to it. Now, that being said, I'm going to use a real life example here. We had one client who really liked Bruce Springsteen. You guys know the singer, Bruce Springsteen? And it was a joke how much he liked him. Constantly. It was like talking about the boss, which was annoying for me for a long time until I saw a story that was like, do you know the biggest Bruce Springsteen fan? And I was like, yes, actually. So I sent him the link. He ends up getting flown to Las Vegas, to meet Bruce Springsteen, to compete with him against like on a trivia night of like, who knows Bruce Springsteen best, him or Bruce Springsteen. He wins, and now they're kind of friends. So there are outliers here. This is not like that girl once told us on that course, you can't. If it's something you really like or really passionate about, but get really clear about the problems you solve. If you're doing things like social media, it's very easy to fall into like why TikTok is shit feeds. But if it's not relevant, to bring people in to like, you know, use Instagram, use LinkedIn, be mindful of that, because you can get very lost in a lot of noise and a lot of other media stuff. So the 10 things, you know, I talk about women in business. That's one of my core identities. I'll also talk about, one of the other things I talk about a lot is I'm a subject matter expert for a lot of magazines on divorce. I got divorced in 2019, but I also very publicly got married and then very publicly separated. Like Mamma Mia ran stories on this. So that's why that happened. I was like, I'm just going to run with it. Like, I was like, it's part of my repertoire now. But again, links very strongly back to women, because it's about why I'm passionate about women and surviving financially about that.
Thank you very much.
Is there a chance I'll still meet?
Powerful.
Listen, Jane, listen, you're going to have to fight me for Keanu Reeves. Absolutely not. That's all me, mate. All me.
Game on.
Done. Are you injured at the moment? I feel like I can make jokes here, but it seems inappropriate that I take this any further. There are, I have not seen a Keanu Reeves story yet. I have seen a Sandra Bullock one though, and I did laugh at that because I was like so close to my idol.
Well, I sat in the cafe in Paddington that he sat at when he was on some set back in Sydney back in the early 2000s.
Matrix, he was
So
doing
I got pretty close to him.
We're gonna like compare notes later. I have met Brad Pitt. That was pretty fun. He actually hip and shouldered me by accident, knocked me over. That was pretty funny.
Well, you've got Brad Pitt, so I'll take Keanu.
No. Jane, you know, we'll take this offline. This could be a fight that we have forever. Any other questions about any of the stuff today? Because I'm watching Nick.
I just wanted to say, Jemimah, thank you so much for sharing such comprehensive information. That's just been so helpful. I've just written down a whole lot of asterisk things that I need to go and action. So I really appreciate your sharing that with us.
Yeah, I just saw something like deaf signing. Thank you. But yeah, please. And if anyone has questions, I'm super easy to find, thankfully, about visibility. This stuff it's not that difficult. It's really not that difficult to do. And it's really quite easy to do and repeat when you have the formula in there. When you have that kind of strategy for that, this is where visibility strategy is so important. To understand what you're trying to do, where you're trying to get featured, what podcast should you be on, where is your ideal client spending time and money. This is a repeating kind of conversation I have every single day, and fingers crossed you guys like this, some information and some tangible outcomes. There's nothing worse than being stuck for an hour and a half at night time and you're like, I just want to eat my dinner and watch NCIS, and like you're like, I don't even know what I learned. Fingers crossed everyone got something out of that.
Awesome. Excellent. Thanks for that, Jemimah. It helped me to understand why people seem to like it when I post about going to the gym or being a social alcoholic and all of those sort of things there. So, and funnily enough, you know, you mentioned that those random posts are the ones that really take off, and that's really been the case for me. And then you post these really good business posts, nothing. This is the one that's going to go viral, but no, they want to know what you're doing in your personal life. So
it's also like, and just please be mindful that, you know, just because it's depth, not width, and you have to be very mindful that, you know, your measure of how successful a post should not be based on likes. It should be or engagement. If it's a good post, people are reading it. Whether they like it or not is up to them. And sometimes, you know, the periphery, people also like, people are a bit pervy. Like, we want to see what other people are doing. Like, Nick goes to the gym. Interesting. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that's why he's successful. Maybe that's why it gets people in that thing versus, you know, I'm stalking your stuff and want to know why I'm successful and reading your posts. So don't think for 1 second that people aren't reading and watching what you're doing.
oh, it's amazing sort of when they come out of the woodwork and various different other forums and think, you know, they say, oh, no, I know you. It's like, well, I've never heard of you before. So
Never heard of you.
Exactly.
I follow you on Instagram. Do you? Okay. I've never seen your name once.
That's right. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming along tonight, particularly because you're in a beautiful place there. You're going off for a swim tonight, which I'm incredibly jealous about, because I'm going to be stepping out of my little podcast studio into the rain as I go into house. So we'll both be getting wet. You'll be enjoying it. I won't. So definitely thank you for that tonight. I've got a whole truckload of notes as well. So you've added to my knowledge to go and implement all my sort of 2 VAs that happen to be on the show today. I guess they'll be implementing some of that as well too. So Lorena and JM, take note. So we do have a door prize tonight too, or a couple of door prizes. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned earlier, sorry, I'm in Bali. Some people asked earlier, I got a comment. I'm in Bali at the moment because I'm running a retreat next week, but more importantly, I'm here to finish my second book, because if I don't finish it, I'm going to get in trouble. But I have a ton of my first book called Position Me, about how to position yourself as an expert, lessons in accidentally starting a business and becoming an award-winning entrepreneur, which largely focuses on exactly what we talked about today, So I have one copy of that to give away. The other thing I've got is the 90-minute session one-on-one with me to talk about all things business and about visibility and getting you guys a strategic plan into your business to get visible by the end of 2022.
Awesome, awesome. So now is not the time to leave the room and go to the toilet and make your dinner or whatever, because as ever, you have to be in the room to win it. So we do have our wheel of names here, and all of your names are in this wheel. I don't know why we've got some empty ones here. Hopefully it doesn't land on any of those empty ones, but if it does, we'll just spin it again. All right, so let's draw the first one. It will be the consult session with Jemimah. And drum roll, please. And our winner is Andrew Kavanagh. Andrew, are you in the room?
Yes, I'm in the room. Thank you. Thank you very much. Room.
Fantastic. Well done for that. What we'll do is we will connect you and Jemimah up by email tomorrow, and then you can connect and work out times and dates and all that sort of thing there.
Okay, I just dropped my email. Just send me an email too.
All right, so first one was Andrew, and now for the book. Now, lucky winner for the book is, drum roll please, that would be Margaret Briggs. Are you in the room, Margaret?
I'm here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, again, we'll connect you up tomorrow as well and can organise with Jemimah how to get that book. All right. Well, that there is our session of business owners smashing it online tonight. If you enjoyed the session tonight, then and you want to watch it again, it will be up on the Smash Go YouTube channel tomorrow afternoon. The link for that is in chat right now, and if you go there, subscribe to the channel, and you'll notice there's a little bell that pops up after you subscribe. If you click that bell, you'll get a notification as soon as that video has been uploaded. You can watch the replay there. I know I'll be watching the replay because there are a few things I didn't quite get to write down that I'll be going back to check over. And to catch up with Jemimah, she is very visible. You could probably Google her name and find her. She's got a website, jemimahashleigh.com.au. Is that right?
Yeah, .com.
Just .com. So Jemimah.
I think .com and .au works as well, though. Let's be honest, it all works.
Okay, well, either of those will work. And you will find her on social media. And if you search for the Visibility Lab, you will find her there as well too. So thank you everyone for coming along tonight. Thank you, Jemimah, for sharing with us tonight. I hope you enjoy your downtown expedition to the sea, and look forward to seeing everyone here back again here next week, same time, same place at Business Owners Smashing Online. Have a sensational evening.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nikkree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.